Hello guys, welcome to another video session from Kareem's Biology. In this session, we will be learning about excretion in other organisms. That means we will be learning about the process of excretion and also the organs that are involved in excretion process in different animals. Starting from the primitive most phylum which is Protozoa to the advanced phylum such as mammals, we will be learning about the excretory organs and the process of excretion that occurs. So let us start the session. Different organisms use varied strategies in excretion. Because children, animals, when you talk about animals, their body complexity is different in different phylums. Say for example, if you take the phylum Protozoa, in Protozoa, they are made up of single cell, so there is no need for them to have a separate mechanism for excretion. Whereas some animals such as Platyhelminthes, Nematohelminthes, or if you take the example of starfish or earthworm, their body is complex when compared to the primitive most organisms. So these animals definitely should have a separate mechanism for the process of excretion. That is why different organisms, they use various strategies to perform excretion. Okay, and then I told you already that specific or special excretory organs, they are absent in unicellular organisms. Amoeba, paramecium, and even bacteria, they are unicellular organisms. So there is no need for them to separately have any type of excretory organ because they can perform that activity by a simple method of diffusion. Okay, the waste present in the cells can diffuse out of the body through the surface into the surrounding water. This is how they perform excretion. Now let us first talk about excretion in amoeba and paramecium. In amoeba and paramecium, in addition to the process of diffusion, there is an organelle which is specially meant for the excretion process. It is not an organ, it is only a small part in the cytoplasm called organelle. That organelle is called contractile vacuole, and contractile vacuole is osmoregulatory organelle. What does it mean by osmoregulatory? Osmoregulatory means regulating the body fluids and electrolytes in the cell. Okay, so this organelle, contractile vacuole, it maintains the balance between the water content in the cytoplasm as well as the concentration of electrolytes in the cell. That is the major function of the contractile vacuole, and the contractile vacuole can perform that function by the removal of excessive water or removal of the waste material from the body. Now let us see how the contractile vacuole can perform that process. First of all, it collects the water and waste from the body. You can see a simple animation here which explains about the functioning of the contractile vacuole. Excessive water present in the cytoplasm will be collected into this vacuole. Along with that, excessive waste also will be collected. As a result, the contractile vacuole swells up. Okay, and after swelling up, it moves to the surface of the cell. There it will burst open and releasing all the contents including the excessive water and the waste to outside. Okay, so this is how the contractile vacuoles function to excrete the waste material in unicellular organisms such as amoeba and paramecium. Now I will explain about the different excretory organs found in different phylums. We will be starting with Protozoa. Just now I told you that protozoans usually they excrete the waste material by a simple diffusion process. For example, you see here, this is amoeba here, and imagine that within the cytoplasm of amoeba, respiration happens and O2 has been consumed and carbon dioxide has been formed in the cytoplasm. And how that carbon dioxide will be sent out? The carbon dioxide will be sent out by simple diffusion process. So in protozoans, for example, amoeba, paramecium, entamoeba, histolytica, they are some of the examples for protozoans. They perform the excretion process by simple diffusion, right? Now let's come to the second phylum, which is Porifera, and the third phylum in the animal kingdom called Coelenterata. Porifera and Coelenterata, they are somewhat advanced animals when compared to protozoans. They are multicellular. Protozoans are made up of single cell, they are unicellular, whereas Porifera and Coelenterata members are multicellular, where the cells are there but the cells do not form the tissues. The cells are loosely packed, and you can see in Porifera, the name itself indicates that the Porifera, they have pores all over their body. And even the Coelenterata members such as this jellyfish, as well as the most popular example that you know, Hydra. This is one sponge here. This is a sponge. The Porifera members are usually called sponge. They are called sponges because they have pores all over their body. Through the pores, water enters into the body, and there is a pore called osculum through which the water will be flowing out. When the water enters into this and leaving out, the water almost bathes every cell present in this sponge. So, when the water is passing through that, the waste present in the cells of the sponge diffuse freely into the water, and when the water is leaving, along with the water, waste also will be sent out. In Hydra also the same process occurs. Through the mouth, the water enters into Hydra. The water touches or bathes every cell. So the waste present in the cell now diffuse into the water. When the same water comes out of Hydra, the water brings out the waste that is from the cells. So this is how the waste materials can be eliminated in the phylums Porifera and Coelenterata. Now let us talk about the next phylum, which is Platyhelminthes. Okay, they are called Platyhelminthes because their body is dorsiventrally flattened and they appear in the form of a tip, right? Their body is flat. The most popular examples in this are Planaria. The picture of Planaria you can see here. Planaria is one of the most popular example. And another most popular parasite from Platyhelminthes is flatworm. Okay, now let us talk about how the excretion occurs in this Platyhelminthes. In Platyhelminthes, there are some specialized cells present called flame cells that are at the end of a tube-like structure called nephridia. Okay, so there is a tube-like structure. This is actually called protonephridia. At the end of protonephridia, you can find a cell. This is the cell which is attached with a tuft of cilia. Okay, this is called a flame cell. This is also called protonephridia. Okay, and how the protonephridia help in the process of excretion, we will be finding out. Now let us find out how these flame cells work. In Platyhelminthes, the flame cells, they collect the waste material, and the waste now will be sent into this tube cell. There is a tube-like structure. You can see this is the tube cells. The waste will be collected by these flame cells. Now, can you see the cilia over here? Yes, these cilia, they constantly move. They constantly move. When they move, the waste that is collected here will be pushed towards this tube cell. The waste will be pushed, and from that waste, whatever the useful substances will be reabsorbed into this tube cell, and the rest of the waste will be sent out of the body. This is how the flame cells work in Platyhelminthes. Now let me tell you, why are they called flame cells? I told you know that after the collection of the waste, the cilia in these flame cells will be constantly moving. When this cilia constantly move, when the tuft of cilia move constantly, that gives the appearance of a flickering flame. Have you seen the flame of a candle, and have you observed how the flame flickers? The same kind of pattern will be visible when you observe the flame cell under microscope. The tuft of cilia will be moving and resemble the flickering flame. That's why the cells are called flame cells. So once again, let us recall where the flame cells are found. They are the specialized excretory cells found in the simple freshwater invertebrates, including flatworms, and even in roundworms also they will be found. Now come to the next phylum, which is Nematoda or Nematihelminthes. From Nematihelminthes, the most popular examples, you know, roundworms. They are usually called roundworms because they are not flattened like that of the Platyhelminthes. Their body is round, but they do not have any segments on their body like that of the earthworms. Their body is smooth. They do not have any segments in their body, but they are round. That is why they are called roundworms. Now let's find out what are the excretory organs in this. In Nematihelminthes, the excretory organs are called rennet cells. This is a rennet cell here, you can see. They possess a glandular system. The rennet cells in these nematodes, they act as glands, means they collect the waste material and they secrete the waste towards outside. Okay, that's why they are also called secretory excretory system, because they secrete the waste towards outside. Okay, so this is how the rennet cells are arranged in Nematihelminthes. So this is the roundworm that we can see here, and this is the rennet cell. That's about the excretory system in Nematoda. Now let us talk about the next phylum, which is Annelida or annelids. Okay, the difference between annelids and nematohelminthes is, already I told you that in nematohelminthes there will be no segmentation present in the body, whereas in annelida there will be segments present all over the body, and all the internal organs, they will be arranged as per the segments. That's the major difference. Now what is the excretory organ in annelida? In annelids, the excretory organs are called nephridia. Okay, and nephridia are similar to that of the flame cells. The only difference is the flame cells are open at one side, and at the beginning they are closed. They have blunt ends. Whereas nephridia, they have openings. You can see this is the nephridium. It is opened into inner side of the organism. Let me explain that now. The nephridium is an invertebrate organ found in pairs and performs a function similar to that of the vertebrate kidney. As I told you earlier, that in earthworms the body is in the form of segments. In each segment we can find a pair of nephridia. Nephridia are nothing but a long tube-like structures which are highly convoluted, which ends with a muscular tube called bladder and open towards outside of the earthworm. Okay, so in each segment of earthworm you can find two nephridia on either side. One side of the nephridia is towards the inner side and the other side opens towards outside. And what happens is, the part of the nephridium which is inner side, which opens into inner side, is called nephrostome. This is opening called nephrostome. It opens into a fluid present in the earthworm called coelomic fluid. Okay, so in such a way the nephrostome collects the waste from the coelomic fluid. Now the waste will be carried along with the tube of the nephridium, and when the waste is passing through, any of the useful material will be reabsorbed, and finally it will be sent out of the body. Right? This is how the nephridia works in earthworm. Now let's come to the next phylum, which is Arthropoda. Arthropoda is the biggest phylum in the animal kingdom. So meaning of Arthropoda, you already knew that these are the animals with jointed legs, and most of the arthropods live in the water, and they can also survive on the land. The arthropods which live in the water, for example crayfish, prawn, crab, these are the arthropods that live in the water. They are called crustaceans. They are called crustaceans. In crustaceans, the excretory organs are called coxal glands, which are also called green glands. Okay, and where are they located? The coxal glands are located on either side of the head. So here is a crustacean, crayfish. In this crustacean, if you look at this head, you can see green gland on either side of the head. These green glands, in case of crustaceans, collect the waste and send them towards outside. So in arthropods, there are two types of excretory organs are there, called green glands and Malpighian tubules. Green glands are present in the crustaceans, whereas Malpighian tubules, they are found in the arthropods which live on the land. For example, cockroach. Okay, now let us talk about Malpighian tubules. Malpighian tubules, they are slender tubes. They are found normally attached to the alimentary canal of the insects. If you can't understand, look at this picture. This is the picture of a cockroach, and this is the digestive system of cockroach. To the intestine, can you see there are some thread-like structures, minute tube-like structures. They are called Malpighian tubules. Okay, the Malpighian tubules, they collect the waste from the body cavity, and the waste will be now sent into the digestive system, into the intestine. In such a way, along with the undigested food material, the waste collected by Malpighian tubules also will be sent into intestine and will be sent out of the body. This is how the process of excretion occurs in cockroach with the help of Malpighian tubules. Okay, and now let's talk about the next phylum, which is Mollusca. Mollusca is the phylum where the animals have shells on their body. Okay, and in Mollusca also, like that of the annelids, the type of excretory organs are called metanephridia. Okay, and one more interesting thing here is that in Mollusca, the metanephridia are organized together to form small kidneys. Right, so that's about the excretory organs in Mollusca. Next one is Echinodermata. Echinodermata, echinus means spine, derma means skin, and the most popular in this Echinodermata, you know already, it is starfish. Then how the excretion occurs in this echinoderms? In echinoderms, there is a water vascular system similar to that of porifera. We have found this same system in porifera, but there is a difference. In porifera, there are no tissues found, whereas in Echinodermata, there are some tissues found, and there will be small tube-like structures present through which the water enter into this animal and comes out of the animal. Okay, and the water, when it enters and comes out, it brings out all the waste present in the body towards outside. This is how the water vascular system helps in Echinodermata to remove the waste material. And remaining phylums, reptiles, birds and mammals, we have already discussed that the kidneys are the excretory organs, are the primary excretory organs in these animals. Okay, so that's about the excretory organs in different phylums, or the evolution of excretory system in animals. Okay children, that's all for today. I will meet you in my next session. Thank you for watching.